Hi everyone, Anat Kessler here with a new video tutorial, and today I want to show you how to make a junk journal. So I have all the papers here and I want to fold them in half and use Vintage Photo Distress ink to ink all the edges. Now the idea of a junk journal is to use junk mail, leftover papers, old ephemera, whatever paper goods you have, you can make them into a junk journal. Now the papers that I have are all vintage style because I want my junk journal to be in a vintage style. So that is why I'm using the distress ink to ink the edges to add even more of this vintage look to my papers. So I'm going to do that with all the papers that I have on both sides, including on the fold line on both sides. So I'm going to have all my pages ready for binding. So once I have all my pages ready, I'm going to arrange them in a signature. Now a signature is a group of folded papers that are inserted together like this, and I'm only going to use 10 papers. That is a large enough signature. If you want to have a larger junk journal, then you can have 2 signatures or 3 signatures, and then you're going to have to make a larger cover to accommodate for all the signatures. So once I have them all inserted, arranged together, I can go ahead and make my cover. So I'm using one 8.5 by 11 paper. It is only printed on one side. I don't need the other side at the moment, but you can use a double-sided paper. Now I'm attaching the paper to 2 regular printer papers because I want to make a soft cover, but I don't want to use chipboard or even cardstock. That will be too thick. So I'm just reinforcing the binding cover with 2 regular printer papers, and that will be enough. And you can use whatever you want for the cover. Doesn't have to be paper, of course. It can be an envelope, it can be fabric, and if you want, you can do a hard cover as well with chipboard and do a cover like you saw me do previously in other tutorials. So once I have all that glued, I'm going to cut off the excess because I'm using A4 papers and not 8.5 by 11. So I have to trim the excess. So I'm cutting the paper to 9 inches by 5 3/4. That will be enough because my papers all measure 5.5 by 8.5. So the cover is 9 by 5 3/4. And of course I'm going to distress all the edges on the cover as well. I want the look to match throughout. If you don't have a blender tool like I have, you can just use a regular sponge to do this. And of course, don't forget the other side. And I actually don't care that the other side is white, because there are going to be things added to the cover later. And you can always add a little bit of color with your distress ink all over the paper, not just the edges, if you want. Okay, so now we're going to secure, I'm going to fold the cover, and we're going to secure all the pages while the signature is open to the cover. We're going to align it in the center between the top and the bottom, and then between the right and left edges. Just want to make sure that I see that center fold line, because I need to align everything accordingly. And then I have some binding clips. You can use whatever method you want to secure the pages or the signature to the cover. It's very important that nothing will move and that all the center fold lines of the pages and the cover will be aligned, will be one on top of the other exactly. And now we'll be ready to sew our junk journal. I'm going to use an awl to make the holes. This is quite a small junk journal, so 3 holes is going to be enough. But if you're making a larger junk journal, then make 5 holes instead of 3. So an awl is a pokey tool, you can say, that allows me to poke all the papers and create one hole throughout them all. And that will be very easy to bind later. So I'm making 1 hole in the center and then 1 on the top and 1 of the bottom. 3 holes is going to be enough. And then I'm going to bring a needle and a thread. I'm using embroidery thread. You need to use a thread that is not too thin, not too thick, and not too flexible, because you want to tie it. I'm using about 3 lengths of the junk journal. That will be enough. And then we're going to start, if you want your tie to be on the inside, then start on the inside. If you want your knot to be on the outside, then start from the outside. So I want my knot to be on the inside, so insert the thread to the inside, and then from the outside go back into the top hole. Just leave some of the thread and then go back into the middle hole and through the outside to the top to the bottom hole. Just think about the figure 8. And then all you need to do is tie the 2 edges of the thread together. Make sure that you tug them really tight, but not too tight so the paper will tear. And in order for the knot to be really tight, I like to secure it the first knot with a little bit of sticky tape, and then remove it after I do the second knot. This way everything will stay tight. So almost when the knot is completed, remove the tape and secure the knot. And basically your junk journal is ready. Just trim the excess thread and your junk journal is ready. Now all you need to do is embellish it on the inside, on the outside. You can add ribbons to close it if you want. You can do whatever you want with it. So I really hope you like this tutorial. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click on the little bell icon to be notified when I upload a new video so you won't miss anything. And you'll be able to follow all my tutorials and make all the projects. I'm just inking the fold line of the outside of the cover. And if you want to make a thicker junk journal, just make the cover longer and sew the 2 signatures one next to the other, just like I showed you in a figure 8. So thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you next time.